I've just bought a Van Gogh coffee table on eBay. I know it's genuine. It's got a bit of veneer missing.
Oh.
I adopted a dog from the local locksmith. When he got home, he mowed a bolt for the door.
Christ.
Isn't he a blacksmith then?
Well, it could have been a blacksmith, but a locksmith works better because it's got a bolt, isn't it?
But they don't make bolts for doors.
They can do. You can buy one from there. Has anyone ever?
I can't believe that a joke has sparked a discussion about, whether if he's making a bolt, should it be a blacksmith or should it be a locksmith? You got to see, because most people they'll say locksmith and they'll understand what you mean. Say blacksmith and they make horseshoes.
Is that all what a blacksmith does? Just make horseshoes?
That's all he does. It's just horseshoes all day and swords. And swords and axes. And suits of armour. Yes.
Right. Speaking of horses.
Bolts for doors.
Speaking of horses, which we weren't, I went to the doctor's with a suspicious mole. And he said, they all look like that. You should leave it in the garden. Hello?
God, man. Have we? Is this it? Have we come to the end of the dad joke universe?
No.
Have you reached that part where it's like just the void?
No, that's it. So you see, I laid down the challenge, and I said that we'd run out, and people took it upon themselves.
Feeders, feeders.
You can tell we've run out.
Yeah. Enablers, exactly.
Here we are at the end of the Dad Zone universe. See the stars fall into the pit. As the punchlines around us crumble.
Reality's failing us. Maybe we're all just lying in a bed. Maybe none of you exist. Anyway, hello everyone. Welcome to the Black Dog 193. I'm Lee.
I'm Darren.
I'm Jim.
I'm on delay.
Everyone is. It's like fucking Noel's house party coming from Australia. What the fuck? It's like
the hell's going on?
50p in the meter.
Satellite delay from like fucking 1992. Okay, everyone.
It's like trying to phone in, take that again, isn't it?
It is. It's like Eurovision Song Contest from like 1991. Hello, this is London calling. Hello.
What was that episode of Swap Shop? We have Matt Bianco in the studio with us. Is there anybody who wants to ask him a question? Yes, caller on line 6. Yeah, I've got a question. Why are you such a bunch of wankers?
The Matt Bianco
no. Cut.
Yeah. That was
There's also the 5-star
Matt
phone.
Bianco phone.
Hello, I'd like to ask 5-star.
Oh,
Why are you
that
so
one as well,
fucking crap?
But they were there, rain or shine. Anyway.
Anyway,
hello everyone. This is going. The wheels are off. The wheels have gone. We're just sparking the suspension. Here we are. So this week we're going to see how everyone's week's been or not, depending on what we've got to say, and then we're going to see how some feedback is. We got some feedback for Savage Land from last week, and then we will move on to this week's movie, which is my choice, which was Ghost Stories, which by some amazing coincidence not only is on Amazon Prime, but rocked up literally the day I announced it on BBC Two. It was almost like I planned it. but apparently I didn't. And it's on iPlayer. It's on iPlayer for the next 28 days.
Someone is always listening to us.
Apparently they are.
Yeah, exactly. And
indeed.
It's definitely not the Picture House Bromley anymore, because they shut. Anyway,
give Jim a large bag of money.
It's not going to work that way.
Isn't it?
Well, you can give it a go. I mean, it's worth a try. But anyway, Right, so before we get to any of that, let's see how everyone's week's been. And we'll start with you, Jim. How's it been, sir?
So fairly quiet, but I do have the follow-up. Remember last week I had this saga of wearing the heart monitor?
Oh, yes.
Well, I did get the results from that.
Mm.
Unsurprisingly, it was high.
Yeah. Unsurprisingly, something that's been squeezing you for the last 48 hours has caused you an undue amount of stress.
Yeah, but they also called me in for a blood test.
Mm.
And then apparently, for someone with my health condition, my cholesterol is slightly high.
Mm-hmm.
For an ordinary person, it's fine. Because I'm poorly, it's not good, apparently.
Right.
But she said, well, there's a new therapy you can have for it. I thought, oh, please, not more pills. I'm on about 4 a day as it is.
Oh, God, right,
No,
yeah.
not more. I can't afford another prescription. But no, she said, oh, it's a course of injections. She said, how are you with that? I said, having had chemo and blood tests every week, and the chemo involved intravenous drips, I really do not give a stuff about injections anymore, frankly. You know?
I'm like Pinhead from Hellraiser.
She's like, yeah, do what you like, go on, Adam. Just get on with it. But she said, oh, yes, well, this is basically you have an injection, then 3 months later you have another one, then you have basically another few once every 6 months. I said, would that be a problem? I said, no, that sounds brilliant to me. That's less hassle to my world than taking a pill every day. Another one to remember to take.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
But for the blood pressure, she said, "Oh, I have got more pills for that to try and bring it down a bit. It's only a bit high." And she said, "Well, we'll put you on these pills, and we'll do another test now, probably back in like 6 weeks' time." So now, do you want to do a 24-hour home monitor again? I said, "No, I do not."
Yeah.
She said, well, if you get hold of a blood pressure meter thing, you can give in home readings. I'll send you a link, and then when it's time to do it, you can just do one every day and at your leisure and send it in. I said, "Yep, we're doing that this time."
Yeah, that's a lot.
Because I know having to wear that thing around my neck, inflate every half an hour, my blood pressure will be through the fucking roof again.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a good test, to be honest.
No.
Unless you're very laid back, literally all day, and just relaxing in bed all day. I don't think it really works.
No, not really.
So yeah, my dad actually, he's got one, so it's going right. I'm going to borrow his. I'm going to do home readings, and then hopefully get off these pills they've put me on again. Get that down. That'll be good.
All right. Cool.
But yeah, so more and more. I've been referred to the hospital. I'm not sure how long that'll take, but it just seems that time of year I've been in for my flu jab and had my COVID jab, and I've got my next CT scan about 3 weeks' time. So it's kind of getting the full MOT done at this time of the year.
I was going to say, you've been up on everything but bricks at this point, haven't you?
Pretty much. I've been to the dentist, booked in for a clean there. That's all good. The thing I've not done is the opticians, because it's kind of like, oh, Christ. I know every time I go to the opticians, every couple of years, my eyes were just seeing slightly. And I end up getting new glasses because the ones I've got are wonky. And these glasses, these are fine. I can see fine. I know there'll have been a slight change, but I'm not prepared to fork out 200 quid just for some more glasses at this juncture. Maybe next year when they get a bit loose and a bit more wobbly, I'll do it then. Yeah. Thank you.
Get to the point where the 200 quid's actually worth it when you can't actually see.
Yes.
Rather than 200 quid for an incremental increase. You're not buying a fucking PlayStation. Just let it just go out a little bit.
Well, listen, I keep seeing these things online where it says, you get your prescription, we'll give you can get a pair of glasses for like 30 quid or something. I'm thinking, are these any good? Is this legit? Oh, this is a huge con. Are they on Trustpilot? Have they paid a Chinese bot farm to write 3 pages of good reviews on there? I just don't know anymore.
Yeah. Well, there's only one way to find out, and that usually costs you 30 quid and probably most of your banking details.
Yeah, that's the thing, yeah.
Yeah. But, okay. Well, anyway, so...
that's a project for next year.
Yeah. Fix the eyes later.
I've had enough... I mean, I think I was in the doctors like 5 times last week, all told, back and forth. It's kind of like every other day I was going back down there, and it's kind of This is cramping my lifestyle a bit here now. I'm getting sick of this place.
It's going to be like Cheers, isn't it? You walk in and everyone
is.
goes, Jim.
Go to the doctors, they know your name. Anyway, come on.
It is a bit like that, but you know, such is the fun of having long-term health condition.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, well. Well, at least you're here to talk about it, so I suppose it's all working.
I can't complain. I mean, you know, I had my asthma review, and actually, I have like a daily inhaler I was being taking. And normally I used to take it for the winter months, but when COVID came, they said, asthmatic, you better take that every day. Just boost your system a bit.
Jesus.
And I'd had like, I've been on it for years, it's not a problem. But since I had like most of one lung out, I've had quite bad breathlessness. Not a huge deal, but after I've done something, I'm really out of breath. And when I had my asthma review last week, they said, well, we could put you on a stronger inhaler, see if that does anything. So I said, all right, we'll give that a go. And you know what? It bloody has.
Nice.
It's really cleared up the breathlessness, something rotten. It's kind of, it's like 2 levels up on like steroid strength, whatever's in these things. It's kind of,
nice.
This is working out good. Hooray. So that's really good. So,
That's
they're
really
doing pretty well despite everything.
all things considered.
So, yeah, pretty good. Pretty good.
Cool. Excellent. Okay. Anything else, sir?
That's it from me, I think.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Elton.
Hello.
Hello. Anything
Hello.
going on?
No,
Anything going on?
I'm still flipping worn out from last week. Thank you very much.
Well, I mean, it's funny you should mention that. Everyone else seems to be very, very interested in where you are precisely on the Elizabethan line right now.
I love all the AI. I love AI generated art anyway. I know it's the death of the industry and everything like that, but some of it is just so creepy. I love it. But the amount of stuff that we had last week with one little slip up of one little word, and then all of a sudden we got like oodles and oodles of imagery. It's awesome.
Yeah. Martin Thompson would like you to know that he doesn't like to brag, but he does go through Falconwood like every day. You know. But, you know, and Anne-Marie Organ even said the Elizabethan line's a bit rough, don't you think?
Yeah, there you go.
In fact, she wants to know, since she can't even navigate a square, which is Leicester Square, who do I think is actually the worst person at navigating? And I was just trying to say, I don't think I can tell the difference, because you had signs and people who could help, and she gets lost in a square.
No, that's the thing. I didn't have signs.
He did.
They were the wrong signs. How the hell do you get to? Where was I?
You don't even remember.
Canary Wharf. Hang on, Canary Wharf. I got off at the Canary Wharf station. Where do you get to the DLR in Canary Wharf? There was no signs for it. There was signs for DLR up there. Went up there. God, we're doing it again. Went up there, and then there was like another sign saying over there. And then I crossed the river. I don't know. You know, there's only one river in London, isn't there? And
there are many secret rivers. Read Ben Aronovich.
Yeah, exactly. Rivers of London.
But then I got on a train and I got back to Canary Wharf again. How does that happen? I don't understand. Because they don't put signs up. And it's happening every day when I'm driving around bloody Milton Keynes. You know, there's like 1 million roundabouts in Milton Keynes, yeah?
Yeah.
Every single flipping roundabout is different. So when you drive up to a roundabout, normally you would drive up to it and let's say there's 2 lanes. And one would be, I don't know, straight on and left. And the other one would be possibly straight on and right.
Right.
No, Milton Keynes doesn't do that. You'll drive up to a roundabout in Milton Keynes and the left one will be just left. And then the middle one will be straight over or right. And then the right-hand one will be straight over or right. And you're like, okay, great. But they've merged from 2 lanes, and it's the left-hand lane that's gone into the left one and the straight over and right. And you're like, okay. But then you get to the next roundabout, and it's different. It's like
How
only
is it
2.
different?
How is it? How is it different?
It's a roundabout.
I know, but
Doesn't I mean,
no,
by definition of a highway code, doesn't roundabout?
They are all different.
Yeah, they're all different because they're different places on the road.
No,
but
they-
they're still circles with entrances and exits.
And all the entrances are different. They all
Of
are.
course they are, or they all go to the same fucking place.
No. No. No, they
Am
need,
I-
what they need to do is come up with a standard roundabout in Milton Keynes and go, do you know what, guys? Maybe we should do that, and that won't be as confusing. Okay, yeah, well, it means
Standard
a standard
roundabout.
roundabout. Yes,
What you mean, like an island in the middle that you drive around and then come off at an exit?
I'm talking about the lanes going in. So when you go into a roundabout, who thought I didn't have anything for the week? But here we go.
Yeah. I told you we'd do this, didn't I? I told you off air.
You used deliberately, Owen. You knew you had.
I told
this.
you off air. I knew it.
You drive into a roundabout, okay,
Yeah.
and
But you shouldn't do that. You should go round it.
you approach a roundabout, right? and let's say you're coming off a dual carriageway, and
Yeah.
the left-hand lane should go either straight over or left, and the right
Yes.
lane should go straight over
12
or
o'clock
right.
rule.
Yeah. With you so far.
Okay, so but what they do in Milton Keynes is the left lane will merge into two lanes, which will be left only and straight over. But then you get to the next roundabout, and it'll be the right lane that goes into straight over and right, leaving the left-hand lane just for left.
Okay.
And there's no rhyme or reason as to why they do this. It's frustrated, and I hate it. I don't even know I'm driving to Milton Keynes every single day. Every time I get to Milton Keynes, I get called all the way back to Colchester anyway. So that's a fun day. I spend most of my day just sat on my ass driving everywhere. But I wish they would just standardize. Oh my God, this is going to be such crap notes, isn't it? Oh, and this week, Owen wants to standardize roundabouts in Milton Keynes. But that's
You
where
got-
we are at the moment.
Do you know what, Ellen? It's almost like, right, that you died at some point, and like your sphere of where your ghost can go, right, is like Milton Keynes and no
Yeah.
further, because you keep finding yourself suddenly I'm back here. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's like in Bruges.
That's what it is, isn't it? He was dead all along.
It's like
You're a ghost.
condemned to wander the lanes of Milton Keynes and its grid system.
Oh God.
It is like purgatory, though. I mean, come on.
I went
you know.
indoor skydiving in Milton Keynes. I didn't have a problem.
Yeah, but you see, you went indoors. That's my whole point. You didn't go outdoors, did you? You went
You don't
indoors.
use from the horror of the roundabouts.
I mean, I hate to break it to
Yeah.
everyone, but I had to go round a few roundabouts to get to
A
it.
few. It's all right if it was a few. I've heard that place described as someone had like a map in front of them, and they were drinking a cup of coffee, and they went, right, okay, what should we do here? And they put their cup down, and then they go, right, okay, well, what should we
Good
do?
use
Lift
of
up their
effects,
cup,
by the
and
way.
there's
And create
little
the sigillo
coffee ring, and they're
degra.
like,
on
well,
the-
then
yeah.
we just put a roundabout there, and then they put the coffee cup down again, and then there's another ring. They're like, oh well, there's another roundabout there, and they move their cup out the way, and then there's another roundabout over there, and that's how they ended up with so many roundabouts.
I don't know. I just.
Right.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, Elton. I'll be honest with you. I've driven far and wide across this land, and I have encountered many roundabouts, but none of them have ever really bothered me in the way that Milton Keynes ones have clearly bothered you.
It's like they grow there, and then they ship them out to the rest of the country later on.
Right?
That's where they
Elton.
grow them.
Elwyn, I've listened to what you've got to say, right? Okay, I've taken all your information into consideration, and I've come to the conclusion you're fucking meat.
When I write the notes for the show, what I actually do is I do them in a Jeremy Clarkson voice. So, Jim has cholesterol. Elton tries to do roundabouts. Yeah. I think it works. And Elton is confused by roundabouts.
And that's when it all fell apart.
Elton, who is confused by roundabouts. I mean, it's like you're the Stig. Some say circles are a mystery. Right, okay. So you got nothing to say?
I've got
happened
nothing
this
for
week?
this week. Yeah, no. Still worn out from last week.
Right. Okay. Cool. Well, yeah. Okay. We'll move. I'm glad you had nothing to say. Our subscriptions have just dropped off the planet from Milton Keynes, by the way. Sorry to all the listeners in Milton Keynes, all none of you.
That's all right. They're never going to make it out. They're just going to go around the next roundabout and go, oh, God, we're in the wrong lane, and go down the wrong road.
It's like Nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah. What can I see? It's a roundabout. Turn 2 steps to the left. Forward. Turn right.
Spellcasting. ROUND.
Fucking Trelane sitting there going, oh, he's come up against another roundabout. I wonder how he's going to deal with this encounter.
Ooh, nasty.
Yeah. Ooh. And this one's got 3 lanes. Anyway.
You know.
Jesus Christ. Darren, how's your week been?
There will now be a short intermission.
And here we are back again, and we're still on How's Your Week, but now we're all in sync, aren't we, guys?
Yes, we are.
Oh, for goodness sake.
Yes.
Fingers crossed.
Yes. Hurrah.
79.
Yes.
8 of clubs. 3 spades. Right. So, getting on with where we were, Darren.
Yes.
Right,
Clem
so-
Fandango, press the fucking button.
I'm here. I'm present.
I
Yes.
can't hear you. You're behind the glass. Stop talking, you moron. I press the fucking button. Anyway, right.
Yes.
Darren, how's your week been?
My week, not very busy.
Darren, how's your week been?
Oh, fucking hell. Are you actually picking me up or what?
Hello? Yes, I'm picking you up. It's fine.
Right. Okay. Should we start that again?
No, go for it. We'll just go. We'll
Okay.
Just, run it. Just go.
No problem.
How's your week?
No
How's
problem.
your week? How's your week?
I heard your eyes roll down the corridor there, Darren.
Could you hear them? Yes.
It was literally all we could hear was.
It's amazing how they sound like, oh, for fuck's sake, as they roll away like that. It really is. But there you go.
Yeah, I can hear you, Clem Fandango. Live
That's-
Foley. Unfortunately, I've just poured tea in my lap. But there you go. Hey, keep going.
Yep. That's either Darren's eyes dropping out and rolling away or he's just hit puberty.
Or he's untucked his sock.
I think so. Yes. So this week, not very much has happened. I've done quite a bit of YouTube watching this week. I've become obsessed with, I think the program is called Last Week Tonight with John Oliver.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've been fucking watching up. I've watched a little interview with him, and he was talking about how much research they do and the sort of team of researchers they've got and this army of fucking lawyers that they employ to make sure that they don't get in too much trouble. And it's like, well, they're obviously well informed, so let's watch some more episodes. So I keep getting them on YouTube now, and I've been watching them one after the other, and we're fucked. Just everything is fucked. Everything is ruled by evil rich people. I've learned too much about certain individuals. Yeah, it's a real depressing world we live in.
Yeah.
Really
Uh,
is.
That's why we're doing this podcast, just to
Indeed.
add a little bit of extra shit sandwich on top of the crap that everyone else is
Yep.
dealing with. They'll deal with
Indeed.
us.
Yeah. But apart from all of the bad stuff that he does tell you, he does insert some comedy in there, and it's had me laughing as well as crying watching it. So, yeah, if anybody's looking for some good factual comedy, yeah, get on and watch Last Week Tonight with John Ovotis. There's loads of it on YouTube from various different years. Pick a subject, he's bound to have talked about it. And just be prepared to have your eyes opened to certain things. So there we go.
I would also just to jump in there. I would also say go back to old episodes of the podcast, The Bugle, which you used to do.
Yes. I stopped listening to The Bugle once he left. I've got to be honest. It just was not the same once he went.
No, but it is worth a listen.
Oh, definitely.
Anyway, sorry, carry on.
That's right, no problem at all. On the other watching front, went to the cinema this week and watched Joker 2. I think that's right. Fleur de...
Filia dear.
The chicken.
You take the Joker. You take him in the toe. You take it here. Yeah, go on. Carry on.
Now, there seemed to be an awful lot of people who just didn't like it out there. I mean, I've caught quite a few of I haven't really watched them or anything, but I've got to say, I there must be something wrong with me because I actually enjoyed it. Me and Ree were both actually came out that that was all right.
Okay.
I don't know what sort of film they were expecting because, as far as I know, people were warned it was a musical.
Were they?
Yeah, they were. Yeah, it's all out there that it was a musical.
I mean, Lady Gaga obviously means musical, as far as I'm concerned. But you know,
well, if I'd gone first week, I wouldn't have known that it was a musical.
Well, then fair enough. You see, of course, we are going to have one or two that slip through the net, but I'm talking like, general sort of comic book fans and stuff like that have gone to watch this.
Can I ask, how musical is it?
It's got some stuff in there. I mean, the way I look at this film is you're actually seeing it a lot more from Arthur Fleck's point of view, to the point where you go literally into his head and you see how he sees the world at certain points, which is where the musical parts come in. So it's his idealized sort of his idealized view of things. I don't know whether that's to cope with the pressures that he's under, because he's awaiting trial in this one. That's all I'm going to say about it. But I thought it was good. I thought it did. I thought it played up to its own version of the DC universe well. It included certain things in it that are associated with certain characters within DC comics. It changed some stuff slightly about them, but not too much that it was distracting. I thought it got the job done. All right, this person had this happen to them in the comic books, and you've slightly changed that, so it's now this. Right, okay, well, I'm happy with that. That's that. So, I had one person actually complain that it was, they said it was supposed to be a standalone thing, the Joker, and yet they're now trying to tie it into the Batman universe. Now, this person said they really loved the first one. And it's like, so did you actually watch the first one? Talking about tying it, because there's a character in there that really does tie it into the Batman universe if you're watching it.
I will. I mean, I've not seen either. I've not seen the first one, and I'm not seen the second one. But I will say this: when the first one came out, Todd Phillips, the director, actually said that he was a one and done. They had an idea for a Joker thing, and that was that. And then what happened was several years later, there was this kind of beeping noise. And what it was this truck full of money backing up his lawn.
Yeah.
And that's why he's got what he's got. So I can see where they're coming from when people feel a little bit put out by this film, because the first film was never built with a sequel or a franchise in mind.
No. And this is not. Without
And yet
spoiling
it's a
too
sequel.
much, there is a sequel, but wherever they take it from here, it won't be. Yeah, I can't say too much.
I know.
If they-
I won't say anything, but yes. No.
Yeah. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought the music was really good. Lady Gaga was really good in it. And I made a prediction about her version of Harley Quinn, and I was bang on the money with this. And it's an interesting take, very interesting.
Okay.
But it did. You know, well, you haven't seen the last one
No,
yourself, have you? Right.
No.
Okay, so can't really say too much about it.
it's fine.
But,
It's fine. You can say what you like, because frankly, there was so much discourse around it. I feel like I've seen it, but I haven't actually seen it. But yeah, go on.
Okay, with certain, I'm going to say this, and this might kind of confuse you a bit when I say it, but after watching the film and seeing what goes on in it, all I thought was Life of Brian. Right, that's the film that came to mind.
He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. It's
You don't need me. You don't need anybody. Yeah, it's like
honestly, if you watch it, I think you'll see what bit I mean, and you'll be like, oh yeah, that kind of matches up. Don't get me wrong, there's not there's singing in it, so there we go. There was kind of music in. There was music in Life of Brian, wasn't there? Yeah, but
Shirley
yeah, like I
Bassey,
say,
to be honest.
indeed, there was at the very beginning. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was good.
Cool. Okie dokie. Maybe we will visit the first one, but the chat around it and just my
I
general
would wait.
vibe. Yeah.
You might want to
Not-
give it a few more years before you go and watch it, because there are some real rabid fans.
Yeah, I don't
they're
want to get
probably-
into a sort of rehash of the Scott
No.
Pilgrim thing I had years ago.
No, yeah.
You
said what about it?
I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these people were going, "Why have you created this film called The Joker? We don't need this. This looks totally different, and I'm not comfortable with this." And then they come out going, "That was fucking amazing, and I always said it was. So shut your face."
Mm.
Yeah.
The Heath Ledger Joker effect.
Yeah.
Why have we got a pretty boy playing the Joker? Oh God, makeup exists. How did I guess?
Indeed.
How could we have foreseen this thing? Cool. Okay, so your thumbs up for it, are you?
I'm thumbs up, but a lot of people
Are not.
a lot
That
of
much
people are
I'm
not.
getting. That much I am getting.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Anything else, sir?
Apart from playing the the remake of System Shock.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah, I've been obsessively playing that.
Mhm.
I've had the game for a while, and I started it a few times, and walked away from it. And I finally, when you've got like a TV program or a film, and you watch it one time and it's not, you think that was a bit shit, and you watch it a second time and suddenly it clicks. Right? That's what's happened with this. And
Right.
I'm fucking so far into it now, and it's massive.
Mm.
Now I've seen where this game's going. It's absolutely fucking humongous. It
Mm.
really is. Not too easy. I wouldn't say it's impossible at all, but yeah, some good scares in it, some jump scares. It still could do with a bit more sort of horror in it.
Yeah.
like the original System Shock 2. But apart from that, no, good game,
Okay.
As they say,
Good game.
yeah, it was so much better than last week's audience.
Keep dancing.
Yeah.
Right. Cool. Okay. And where's that available on? Is that Good Old Games? Or is it Steam?
That's just about anything. I got mine on Steam.
Okay. Cool.
It runs really well on not exactly the top end systems. Really quick to load your save games as well.
Mm.
So
Okay.
yeah, you know,
Well, I should have bloody hope so.
You don't fucking wait around with this one. It's actually, you know, they've really done some good work on it.
Mm. What do you know? A game from 30 years ago runs like lightning on modern day hardware.
No, this is the remake. This isn't the original. This is the actual
but it's
remake of System Shock.
But isn't it Night Drive, the people who did Blade Runner remake?
No, it's not. They've actually they've taken it. They've built it from the ground up. It's not like just a graphics package or anything. It's completely new. The whole thing.
Cool. Okay.
So there we go.
Right. Okay. I sit corrected.
Yeah, fucking right you are. Yes.
Fucking right. Sit down, Metcalf. Shut up. You know nothing.
Shut your boot.
Shut your boot. I'll bring you out of the sovereignty. You know what happens then.
Do you want the flavours? Do you? Do you want the flavours?
Fucking calm your herbs or you get the fucking backhand. Right. Okay. Cool. All right then. Well, my week, nothing much has happened. I'll be honest with you. There was one thing. Lisa is starting to look at universities for next September, so we took a drive to Warwick.
Oh yes,
for Warwick University, which was very nice, and the prices are as nice as the university. The university, by the way, is like on the outskirts of Coventry, and it's like a fucking city on its own. I never went to uni, so I don't know. So I just went there. It's like bloody hell.
Warwick was one of these new universities, and they built a few of them. Lancaster University like this as well. And they built them all kind of like out of town as literally enclosed kind of academic settlements all on their own.
Yeah.
So I applied to go to Warwick, and I didn't end up going there. And I studied in Lancaster, but I studied at a college in Lancaster, not the university. And I was quite glad I hadn't, because it would have cost you a fucking fortune in bus fare and taxis.
Oh, God.
It's overall in the first year if you're living on campus in halls. When you move out into digs in your second and third year, it's a bit of a pain in the arse.
Right.
But a very nice university there, Warwick. But unfortunately, really near Stratford, so a lot of other prices aren't very well. That was nice.
that was lovely. As the sound of your bank balance is going being drained out. Yeah, well, we'll see. We've got plenty more to look at before we get to the final decision, so to speak. So yeah, but that was a 3 hour there, 3 hour back drive, so that was fun. What else? And then next day, my other daughter, Katie, has found a car that she wanted to buy. So I had to go down there and see her, and I would say test drive the car, but I didn't. I just sat in the back and screamed.
Clarkson voice.
Sorry. Oh yeah. It was a Skoda Citigo. And I've never seen cars like this, but they are so small. You know, these little nippy sort of smart car kind of things.
Like driving a walnut.
It actually is. It's like driving a slipper, and it was really weird because the gearboxes on all of these different cars, we tried out loads of them, and we went round and looked at loads of them rather, and they all had this same thing. They called it a semi-automatic gearbox.
Is it
semi?
Is it Tiptronic? Triptronic?
No, I don't know. It basically, you put it in drive like an automatic, but it's actually a manual gearbox, and it's got an automatic clutch in there. So what happens is you get stuck or the power starts to drop, and you have to stick it into manual and then go up and down the gears. And it's like, the fucking hell's that? And then you realise...
I had a similar sort of thing on a Yaris years ago.
Yeah.
where you didn't have a clutch pedal. You had to come off the accelerator to change gear, and you had a
Yeah.
manual shift,
Hmm.
but there was no clutch. It was all done
That's
by
it.
itself. It was really
Oh,
clever, actually.
man.
Yeah.
Elton,
It-
can you imagine having something like that while driving through the roundabouts of Milton Keynes?
Be beautiful. It'll be beautiful.
Fucking hell. Yeah?
Yeah, it'll be really nice. It's you have the precision of a manual, and yet you don't have the leg ache of a manual.
Yeah. There you go. So
Wow.
yeah, so yeah, I spent most of my weekend basically in a car, one form or another, going either up to Warwick or down to Canterbury, and then going around in a little tiny Skoda City Go. So there you go. That was that, and that leads me to another thing. Just for the audience now. As you can see, sometimes we don't always have things to say for our week. Sometimes, things don't happen. We've brought it up a couple of times. Jim has lots of stuff going on, and then next week he doesn't, and then Elton's got nothing going on, and we talk about roundabouts for 45 minutes. I mean, stuff happens, but not all stuff happens. So, here we go. People of the Facebook group, people out there in internet land, because I might be putting Black Dog on Blue Sky pretty soon. We're going to have a little thing called Asking for Trouble. And that is like Ask Me Anything on Reddit. When you can just throw a question out and they might answer it, they might not. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick a thread at the top of the Facebook group called Asking for Trouble and a date. And if we've got nothing to talk about for our week, we will answer whatever that question is. And that's why we're asking for trouble, not ask me anything. It's literally asking for trouble. Knowing you ingrates out there, knowing the stuff that you will come up with, and knowing the stuff that you put on the Facebook group quite regularly.
Yeah. Crazy things like, what's your favourite colour? Or which biscuits do you find are the most appealing? Yeah. Which coins are your favourites?
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
That's it, Darren. Give them the ideas. Those are good ideas.
Those are good ideas, yeah. Or what's better, white or brown bread? That kind of really philosophical, deep discussions.
Look, have you not listened to us for the last 45 minutes, Dal? I mean, we literally had nothing to say. Elton had nothing to say. We mentioned roundabouts and we were still talking 20 minutes later.
Crafting magic out of nothing. That's what we do.
Exactly. So white bread, brown bread could just become a thing. I mean, let's put it this way. Slicing a cake the wrong way caused me a conniption, which ended up with like 100 AI cakes being put on the Facebook group.
Who's your favourite TV doctor?
I don't know.
Oh, Dr. Leg.
Dr. Leg.
Yeah.
Deep cut.
Dr. Leg. Which regeneration was that one?
So there you go. So there you go. So on the off chance that we have nothing going on in our particular weeks, we will pull from the thread that's up every week. There's going to be
or pull the thread, because that's what'll happen there. Pull the thread.
Pull the ripcord and fuck off out.
Yep.
No. So there you go. So they're just announcing it now, asking for trouble. It's out there. It'll be on the Facebook group from tomorrow, because we're not around next week for one reason or another. So you'll have an entire fortnight in which to populate it with stupid questions, which we may or may not answer. There you go. And then that way we don't have to think about things to talk about for our week.
Yep, that's right.
But anyway, so there you go. That's that. So I have nothing else in my week, so we will leave it there. We do have some feedback, mind you. Last week we watched Savage Land, aka Bad Photographs from Boots with Zombies in it, and we got a piece of feedback from Pete Collins, who also sent in some feedback last week, but didn't really elaborate on Savage Lands itself. So he elaborated in this one. And he writes, "Hello again, Black Dog. Wanted to give some feedback on Savage Land. I think the premise is fairly strong. People finding in the aftermath of catastrophe and no idea what actually happened and trying to make sense of it is an interesting one. We all know what happened immediately, but we see them trying to make sense of the occurrence that defies logic. If you've ever played Return of the Obra Dinn," though he spelled it Return of the Obra Dinner, Obra Dinn, it
Where's
reminded
my
me...
Obra dinner?
Where's my Obra Dinner? It's a good game, I know. If you've ever played Return of the Obra Dinn, it reminded me of that, a mystery that only makes sense retrospectively. Unfortunately, the film plays all its cards very early on and there's nothing really to do for its runtime. Races are bad, dumb, and believe whatever they want, and that's about it. A few things, though. I think Lee's interpretation about the zombies being a metaphor for immigrants is wrong. The zombies aren't a metaphor for anything. As I see it, the zombies have been accumulating for years, and the atrocities they have been doing unobserved as being incorrectly attributed to illegal immigrants and gangs. Because of this, we see the racist locals attribute zombie massacres to one person and believe it without question. We see them making up stories but about the accused that make no sense, but it fits their narrative, so they believe it. To me, this makes the film more chilling than scary. It's completely believable and makes the film more about prevalence of fake news and people who believe all the racist nonsense they hear without question. I also wonder how much was covered up by the government and they knowingly condemned one person and didn't care about the message being spread about that one illegal did this massacre. Secondly, oh, here we go. We're all getting called out here. Secondly, you all missed an important detail. Towards the end, Salazar explains that the flash on his camera stopped the monsters momentarily. So throughout the massacre, he was actually trying to save people by flashing the creatures. Ooh, I misses. Flashing the creatures and not just taking pictures out of some photographer's compulsion. It also explains why most of his photos are blurred or rushed, except for the one of the girl. At that point, he was stationary, trying to save her from the monsters, but couldn't. All those criticisms about why he didn't try to help her more were actually incorrect, as he was constantly trying to save people with every picture he took. Lastly, the whole "and they are heading north" to me was more about the unidentified threat that was actually coming and the mob's belief that it was all Salazar's cover-up of the truth. All Salazar covers up the truth and essentially leads to a super spreader event at the end. It's not that the racists are right, it's that their resistance to the reality of the situation leads to a real threat going unchecked. It's worth noting that this film precedes the pandemic because of that. Because if I didn't know that, I would assume it was about that. I do wish the guy going around the town had been more explicit in his findings. Something was out there, and it was an actual threat, or was it just outright saying this was a zombie attack? This is another zombie movie that only really works if no one knows what a zombie is. So overall, it's frustrating because the film could have been easily much better, but it also didn't have enough to fill up its runtime. I would like it if someone could take this concept and make a proper film. Anyway, thanks for the recommendation. Hopefully the next film requires a few more roast potatoes. Elton has it coming. All kind regards, Pete Collins. Well, thank you very much for that, Pete. Yeah, I completely missed the Flash, and as soon as I read that, I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, maybe it was a line that was hidden behind an Amazon ad. But yeah. So there you go. Thank you very much for that. Good feedback, sir.
Very good.
I don't know if it wasn't a metaphor. I think because you kind of explain that they're not a metaphor, and then proceed to tell us that the zombies are, accumulating for years and being unobserved and incorrectly attributed to illegal immigrants. Well, surely that's in some way a metaphor for the way that racists will just blame anything on immigrants, isn't it? So, aren't they kind of a metaphor? I don't know. Anyway, thank you very much. Good feedback. Thank you. And much appreciated. And if anybody else wants to send in feedback like that, please send it in to feedback@blackdogpodcast.com or get on the Facebook group. And I'm sure on the Facebook group, there was actually a piece of feedback. He says going over there because he's only got one tab open because he's a fucking idiot. Diddly do. Fill the blanks. Oh, yeah. Jeffrey Mark Hyman says Savage Land was pretty good for an indie cheap movie streaming free on YouTube, and it greatly exceeded expectations. Likely, I thought the overall message was a bit muddled, but at least they were trying something important. Initially, it was a little annoying how cartoonish the racist characters came off, especially as they had no trouble accepting that one person could actually carry out a massacre of that scale. Then I recalled some of the insane anti-immigrant nonsense being spouted around the US in the current US election cycle, and it was no longer that much of a stretch. For a film made 10 years ago, it was depressingly relevant. So there you go. Thank you very much for that, Jeff. And finally, David Renane goes, "What? End of dad jokes? Does this mean Shit Sandwich is coming back?" Well,
careful what you wish for.
Yeah, be very careful. That's all I'm going to say there. And,
Shit sandwich? Does he mean script sandwich?
I think he knew what he meant.
He knows what he meant.
Right.
He knows what he meant. And finally, just to quickly run through these, today, as of time of recording, which is the 8th of October, it marks the 15th year since Darren took it upon himself to make the Facebook group and then send me an email going, "I made a Facebook group for the Black Dog. It's on Facebook. Here's the link. I made you an admin." And then promptly left. 15 years later, he's here.
Yep.
So I put up a post. So it's 15 years since the Facebook group went live, and 15 years and 2 weeks since the cast went live. So, blimey, I know. Tell me about it. So, and now some Prometheus news. Now, no, anyway. So Odile Thomas said, "I love you guys. Sharing my commute with you is always a blast." Robert Taylor said, "Thanks for the company, my parasocial pals. You've helped keep me afloat on some rocky seas down the years." Jack Woodgate says, "Thank you for building this wonderful community." Michael Wilding says, "Thank you for the amazing laughs over the years. They've helped me through some very tough times." Martin Thompson says, "Congratulations," with a nice little gif of Leo giving the clap. Oh, madam. John Campion says, "Well, many happy returns. I discovered the podcast via Hypnagoria crossover episode. I think it was about Alien. God, blimey.
It was, yes.
Yeah. It made me think much more deeply about the film and remains the only place I've ever offered those thoughts in review form. And just to show that there is a balance in all things, it's the only reason I watched Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, to which we can only apologise."
Yeah,
First-time feedbacker, Tom McCamberley says, "Congratulations." Ian Stead says, "Thanks for keeping my marbles intact. And guess what? I'm making a spaceship design commission, 20 new ships for a certain RPG." So he's happy as pigs in shit. So there you go. And many, many more. So thank you very much for the thanks for the congratulations. It was very last minute. It was only because Facebook announced it and went, "Oh, I'm going to put a post up saying it's 15 years." And I went, "Really? Well, you ain't going to do that without me putting pictures of us looking embarrassing." And sure enough, there we were. Yep. So that's that. Right. So we'll leave it there. As ever, if you want to leave feedback, you know the channels. Facebook.com/groups/the Black Dog Podcast, and on email feedback@blackdogpodcast.com. And like I say, I'm tinkering with the idea of Blue Sky, aka Twitter, but not owned by a mudman from the planet. But we'll see about that, and I'll let you know when it goes live, if it goes live. Right, that's it. We'll leave it there. And we'll roll the jingle. When we come back, we'll be doing ghost stories. Ooh. Oh, nudie ladies.
Oh, nudie ladies.
Dancing in the flames. Look at them.
Oh, there's one break dancing. Oh. That's an interesting angle. Ooh. Ah,
Is that Reagan from Australia?
yep. Oh, yeah. I'll never want to see another head spin. Not after. Ooh. Ah.
After that.
Mm. Yep.
Anyway, yes.
Too much.
Okay. We've overstepped the jingle. Right. Anyway, Ghost Stories is the second of our indeterminate weeks of horror, and it is a 2017 British anthology horror film written and directed by Jeremy Dyson and Andy Nyman, based on their 2010 stage play of the same name. It stars Nyman reprising his role from the play as a man devoted to debunking fraudulent psychics, who is tasked with solving 3 unexplained paranormal events. Paul Whitehouse, Alex Lawther, and Martin Freeman also co-star as the individuals who can attest to the supernatural encounters. The film was premiered at London Film Festival on the 5th of October 2017. Oh, blimey, look at that. Almost to the day. Anniversary. He says, trying to do the maths in his head. Yeah, and it was released nationwide on the 8th of April 2018. The film doesn't say how much it actually cost to make, but it does have a box office. So, how much did it make at the box office, Jim?
I think it made 6, 79, 19, 11,
Nice.
92, 20,
180.
48, 1, 32. It's dark in here.
I thought you were going to really lean into that and like be going for another 10 minutes. 63. Clickety click. Knock at the door. 2 fat ladies. Clickety click. I don't know. Anyway, cool. Elton, what about you? What do you reckon it made?
I reckon it made 1 dead pigeon and
And?
no, that's me just laying in bed.
Oh. Beep. 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 Nice. Oh, just for 1 second. That almost gave me a heart attack
I
as
know
much
it
as the
did.
movie. I literally was like, you fucker. Right. What about you, Dal?
Let's see. I think a packet of 1 packet of Pampers. Actually, I think it made for me to wear while watching the fucking film. So there you go.
Well, actually, you're all wrong. What it made was stay. Fuck that. So anyway, no, actually, it made $4.2 million at the UK box office. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. We don't have the actual numbers, but there you go. Right. So it was my pick, so I'll go last. But let's go quickly round the table. No spoilers. And just let us know what you thought of the film. Now, I know you've seen the play, Dal, so you'll go second to last.
Okay.
Because I get the feeling that might feature into how we view this movie. So let's start with you, Elton. What did you think? And give us your roast potato score, please,
Okay.
for Ghost Stories.
So the roast potato score at the very beginning, 5. Definitely a 5.
A 5.
Yes. I don't know where the scale ends.
Well, it's 5 more than Savage Land, so
Yes.
we're already on the up.
Yeah. I really enjoyed this. This has got like the quintessential British TV feel to it. But man, I watched it twice actually.
Really?
And the second time noticed a lot more at the very beginning of the film. A lot more. Which I flipping love that sort of thing. When you go back and it just gives you more to chomp on at the very beginning and just enjoy the movie all the way through.
Mm.
I must admit,
Mm.
Paul Whitehouse, he blows hot and cold with me sometimes,
Mm.
and I really enjoyed him in this.
Yeah.
I wanted to see more of him,
Mm.
which is a shame. But
Yeah.
I came out of it. There was a couple of jumps that really got me, and the reason why I watched it twice was because when I watch these things, I'm quite nervous watching them the first time round, so I miss a lot because I'm like, you're gonna scare
In
me
the
in a minute,
toilet.
aren't you? You're gonna fucking do me, aren't you? And so once I know, it's like learning the map. Once I learnt the map, then I can go back and watch it and realize where the jumps are going to happen. So I'm kind of prepared for it. So, but I came away really enjoying this.
Cool. Excellent. What about you, Jim?
This thing is the third or fourth time watch for me.
Oh, no.
I've not seen it for a couple of years. So it's kind of I watched it at the cinema, then I watched it on DVD or Blu-ray when it came out, and I think I saw it on TV as well. And and I thought, right, I'm going to leave this. I'll wear this one out.
Mm.
And it was just the right time to come back to it. Just the details had got nicely fuzzy in my head.
Nice.
Which is always kind of fun. And I think it's a brilliant film. I think it actually gets better every time I see it because I spot more connections and layers and just kind of, well played, chaps. Well played, chaps.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Okay then. And now over to you, Mr. B. What did you think of it?
Well, this is the second time that I've seen it. And it's very rare, I think, that you get an adaptation of a play that actually works almost just as well as the stage play. Stage play edges out for me, but I'll explain that later on. But no, the film, love it. I think it's really, really good. It actually, for me, horror, if it doesn't scare me, then it's kind of like, yeah. And this film always creeps me the fuck out with just the littlest thing. And that's what I love about it. It's subtlety in places that's, yeah. And also some of the in-your-face stuff, like the stuff that happens when you're not expecting it. Just heightens the tension. Yeah, that's it. It's other things in it that got me there.
Yeah,
with that. But yeah, it's a very interesting adaptation. But yeah, I think it works wonderfully. It really does. It's different to the play. If anybody does think about going to see the play, this is different. There
very
is
much so.
Definitely, especially with how they kind of deal with it and how it kind of concludes.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, very well done. Loved it.
Cool. For me, I'll just echo what everyone else says. I mean, I did have a few things spoilt for me by seeing the play. I mean, I saw it back in 2010. And Carol and I got, I think we got free tickets to see it. Someone else had tickets to see it, and they couldn't go, so we went on their tickets, and and then found out that we were right at the front, which made the for those of you who have seen the play, made the ending something of a something of a moment. Let's just put it that way.
What the fuck?
Oh, fucking hell. Yeah, the play edges it out simply because of the atmosphere it builds, and it takes longer. The film is 98 minutes. I think the play is about 2 hours. But overall, the film itself, taking it from, taking it on its own merits, I thought exactly what Elton was saying. It had that old British,
oh god, yeah,
sort of down to earth vibe, but none of this kind of like everyone's a hero, superhero. Everyone's gonna run in and go, "Get the fuck out of here, dude!" and start swinging a knife around. It's just like, no, I'm gonna turn the radio up because that's gonna save me. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's so realistic. It's just so. I'm hiding under the covers. Yeah, I'm fine.
yeah,
Because my duvet's made of fucking titanium. Yep, nothing's getting through this.
yeah, exactly.
Not at all.
Yeah, exactly. So to me, that kind of it had that horror of a early 80s kind of Tales of the Unexpected, armchair theatre, nightmare theatre kind of vibes. And yeah, I thought it worked really well. The ending, I think, compared to the play, is a little bit more muddled and a bit more rushed, but we will get into that. But I didn't see a problem with this. It's a shame it's kind of gone under the radar for so many people, but it is a good, solid, old-fashioned horror film, ghost story. That's the thing. It's that kind of, ghosts can come in like a number of flavors these days in modern cinema, and it's either like CGI heavy sort of monsters just pounding down the doors and trying to kill you, or it's the Japanese kind of spooky girl with the hair over her eyes floating up your duvet, and it's like fucking hell. But yeah, this feels like a good old a return to the old fashioned sort of like ghosts are just doing their thing and scaring the fuck out of you while they're doing it.
Yeah.
So kind of like
it should be.
Yeah, which I appreciate quite a lot because I've said it before. I appreciate atmosphere over monsters in some in horror films. But there you go. Right, so ladies and gentlemen, if you have not seen this film but you don't want it spoiled, we're about to go into the spoiler zone as ever. So this is your warning. Just just be aware we're about to go into the spoiler zone, and any spoilers that you hear after this are all your own fault. Otherwise I'd say just pause this, go off and watch an hour and a half, come back, carry on listening. Otherwise, here we go.
The emergency disrupt system is now activated. The ship will detonate in T-minus 10 minutes.
Shut up, Wesley.
Anyway, right, here we are on the other side of the spoiler zone. So let's get started. Well, I mean, firstly, how do we feel about the film structure of the sort of portmanteau? I mean, do we like little sort of bite-sized horror tales, or are we hoping for big sort of one big sweeping story? Because sometimes these stories, stories within stories, can be kind of like you're just waiting for the next one to just get out of the way and move along. So I'll just throw that out to all of you, but I think I'll start with Elton because obviously you're the only one who's got no idea about this film whatsoever.
No, I quite like it because it helps me along. Because, well, going into it, you don't know. I didn't know that it was going to be like that, but once you work out that it's okay, here's case 1, case 2, case 3, that helps me along a little bit, knowing that okay, I've got this little section. I know there's going to be something in this little section. I need to get through this to the next one. God, I'm a scaredy cat, but I like it. I like that. I don't know what are they called, noirs or something like. I forget what they're called.
They're called
novellas or
yeah. I mean, it's called a portmanteau.
Right.
That's the official term for basically a story which contains other stories inside it.
Right.
So Pulp Fiction is very much a portmanteau.
Uh-huh.
So it kind of jumps to different tales and then they all kind of wrap up at the end.
Yeah. I like the way it did it. I like because there is a kind of flow between all three as well, and they're all linked in one way or another, just with the main story that's running on behind it. it gives you a time to breathe as well. When you know you're out of the story and you're okay, now we can calm down and work out what's happening next, but it still carries along that creepy vibe. You're still, even though it's giving you time to breathe, you're still giving your time to think about what's just happened and why is that connected to the next one. Wonder what's going on. And especially with this one, once you watch it multiple times in quick succession, you can follow the backstory in which all these are laid on, which is really interesting. And yeah, I like the style of it. Because I'm such a wimp on these sort of things, less is better for me, because I can't deal with this sort of thing. I'm getting older now, and you know, one day you'll be like, "Oh, Elton hasn't logged on. Why not? Oh, that's right, he died." We didn't get a message from him. No, you didn't. No, he's still in bed. You know, staring at his screen's just like flashing on his eyes at the moment. But
watching a documentary about roundabouts in Milton Keynes.
I like the style. I think it works really, really well. It's it can work two ways though. It could be the people that really love a real scary horror movie that they want to get their teeth into. If they're watching this and it becomes a bite-sized horror, and they could come away disappointed. Whereas a person like me who doesn't really dive into the horror that much unless kind of told to, this sort of thing really works well, because you get the horror, you get the scares, but you get a story as well. And because you get three of them, it's like you watch three movies to go along with it. So yeah, I like the style.
Cool. Jim, how are you with portmanteaus? I know you've seen plenty of them, but is it a style you particularly like?
It's one I have a great fondness for. I mean, it's a very, very old form of movie making. I mean, there are non-horror portmanteaus, but somehow along the line, horror and spooky stuff seem to dominate the field. There are exceptions, say like Pulp Fiction is a good one. But by most portmanteaus are on the spooky side. I think that's because in the field of sort of like fantasy and stuff, kind of there are literally, you know, horror does well in a short format. You know what I mean? The classic ghost story, the campfire tales, or even sort of like the Pan Book of horror stories. So I mean, I think it works very well. I mean, I love like the old 1945, The Dead of Night, which is one that kind of started it all. But there are earlier ones, like there's Universal did a couple, and there's a couple of silent German ones which I've been meaning to track down. And that's I really like it, because I think when they work well, they're just really good. Because I think sometimes brevity is kind of like in movies in particular, limitations bring out the best in directors.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's hundreds of examples of where an early director's work where he had nothing to work with is better than when he had millions of dollars and loads of time. And the anthology, I think, forces directors to be, you know, because you got to tell, you know, some of the Amicus movies got 5 stories in an hour and a half. And you've really got to nail down your storytelling. And it's often amazing. It's like this does it perfectly, and this obviously is very inspired by Amicus. But you could, if you pick your shots rightly, and you craft your dialogue well, you can tell people everything they need to know without scene after scene of fucking dressing up exposition, which is a curse of modern cinema since we went to longer and longer run times. Yeah. It's kind of like everything has to be fucking spelled out, like Jesus Christ. Well, you know, you can do it artfully in a couple of sentences. You're right, I get that character, I know where he's coming from, I know the kind of guy he is, done. And this does it so well. And I think this really works well as because the framing device is like in some portmanteaus it's just a way to, you know, thread several stories together, then there's usually like a gotcha twist in the framing story.
Yeah.
Whereas this one has the mother of all gotcha twists in the framing story.
Yeah.
Which was really cool. Very cool.
Cool. And finally, Darren, you what do you think of these kind of short stories inside another story? Is it something you like, or is it something you prefer?
I really do. I'm quite a fan of the sort of like the old Hammer films where they used to do things like, you know, 6 blokes on a train. They've all got a story to tell. I wonder where this is leading.
Yeah.
Bang, they're all dead. I love it. I think it's great. Each story doesn't outstay its welcome. Especially with this one as well. Watching this film, I thought I'd only be watching it for something like 10, 15 minutes. Looked at the clock, 45 minutes had gone by.
Yeah.
So, wow.
Yeah.
So, it goes along at quite a pace. I was tense all the way through watching this.
Yeah.
I really was. You know, it's every single bit. It was just brilliantly done. And the stories reached the right length. And I did like, and this might not be everybody's cup of tea, I liked the way they ended each story with a sort of suddenly an abrupt stop. That was it. No explanation. It was kind of like, you know, the story came to an end. They did it on, I think they did it on 2 of the stories, the first 2. So you had, or what is it? You had the Paul Whitehouse one, and the one about the kids and the car in the forest.
Yeah,
as well.
And with the banker with the child.
Really? Because I thought after that he went straight to, because that one. I mean, all right, we're in the spoiler zone.
Yeah, we're in the spoiler zone.
That whole thing as well with the shotgun, where he just turns, looks at him, and just pulls the gun, fucking blows his brains out.
Yeah.
Whoa.
But the actual story itself ends with the dead wife racing out of the corner of the room.
Oh yeah, it does, doesn't it? That's right.
Yes, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's another one of those. Oh no! 3, 2, 1.
I tell you, with her just standing there, just making the faces she made, and just her presence. I was shitting myself watching that bit. I really was. It was just a fucking hell. I mean, I'm by myself in the living room, and I'm like, I've got the door. I keep looking over my shoulder, just because can I feel someone watching me? Incidentally, by the way, just as a little aside to this, where tricks are concerned, I remember in the actual original stage play, there was one trick that they used to make everybody feel uneasy. And it wasn't when the play was actually running. I mean, it was in that as well, but it was while everybody was being seated. And I didn't notice it at first. And then I think it was, it was like, have you listened, Darren? I'm like, listen. And then I sat there for a minute and just listened. And there was a sound that was playing. It wasn't music or anything like this. And it was on like, I think it was on like a frequency that was deliberately done to make people feel uneasy. And it seemed to have that at the beginning of this as well.
Yeah.
I could hear it. And it's just like, oh, they've ported it over.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's something you have to be very careful of in publicly addressed media, because it's like strobe lighting. You don't know if someone's going to sit there and suddenly freak out and suddenly break down or have a fit or something. So you got to watch out.
Russian cells by accident.
Exactly. Suddenly have a load of words, sort of like fucking activating Winter Soldier or something. But
horseshoe, curry sauce, Krypton factor.
Walkers, crisps,
2-liter Skoda,
Citigo, roundabout,
spanner.
But Yeah. I know that. I know that sense because I tell you what. Just as a little aside, if you'll indulge me for a second, I went and stayed at a friend's house. This was years
I
ago.
know this story. Yes.
And he was renovating this house in it was in Balham, and we'd stayed there. I'd been there all night, and we'd been drinking whiskey, which I didn't like, but he was insistent. He's gonna give me a fucking whiskey, and I'm gonna like it, so I'll get used to it, sort of thing. I'm like, no. Anyway, finally, it's time for bed. We're both knackered. Okay, he's going to bed. He goes to bed. I go into the guest room, and I lay in this guest room, and no word of a lie, I could not get comfortable. And I've never had it before. Well, I've only had it once since, sorry. And I know what it is now, so I can at least deal with it. But there was this whole sense of just unease and just distress and feeling like anxious, and there was something wrong, and I needed to leave that room now. And it felt cold, and it felt weird, and the hairs on the back of my neck were standing up. It was just something, just absolutely, I was not happy. And I thought, oh, maybe I'm drunk. Maybe that's what's going on. And I was just like, nope. I sat up, stood up, turned the light on. Nope, still didn't feel any better. Had some water, went out the room, and I felt okay. And then I went back in the room, and it's like, nah, this room there's something fucking wrong in this room. And it got to the point where I was so disturbed by it, so put off by it, that I actually decided, you know what, fuck it. I literally left and caught the late night bus home from Balham, and left my car there with a note saying I'll come back for it tomorrow, and just left the house. I couldn't stay in that house. I just could not stay in that room at all. Anyway, several weeks later, it turns out that what happened was underneath my room where I was staying was a basement that they hadn't even really opened yet. And they knew it was there. It was all boxed out, and it was just filled with shit. And they realized, or rather what they had discovered, was that all the wiring underneath the floorboards and around the room was completely exposed. And what was going on was I was in the middle of like some kind of mad magnetic electromagnetic cage, and I was reacting to that. And apparently no one could stay in that room, but once they had all the wiring done, I was fine. Oh, they were fine. People were fine. People could stay in that room, but they had literally dozens of people try and stay in that room and found that they couldn't.
Ooh.
Which is very odd. Very odd. I don't know why I was going with that, but yes, the play did the same sort of deal with the film did the same bit at the start under the credits.
Is the play still running?
I don't think so.
I know it's not.
I think it's in America. I think it's running in America. I think it's running off Broadway in America, but I don't think it's running now. It's not running in the UK.
Okay.
The one that's running in the UK at the moment is the horror one. Is 222,
Yeah.
which is a different kettle of fish. But yeah, so they play all those kind of tricks on you. But yeah, and then I recognised that electro vibe when we went around Scotland, and we stayed in a shitty little house, Airbnb, for one night in Inverness, and it was terrible. And I just was like, I can't stay here, and I stayed awake all night, couldn't take it. It was fucking awful. But anyway, back to the film. Sorry, just a little moment of therapy there. Yeah, as far as the portmanteau things go, I've always liked them if they're done well. So, Creepshow, those kind of films. What's the other one? There's the Monster. Do you remember the Monster Club?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, some of those were pretty shit, but some of them were actually really good. And then there's the Trilogy of Terror, which is one that if someone's listening, Mr. McGlashan, Pete is out there. If he's listening, he will recount us all going on about the bloody voodoo doll, the deadly voodoo doll running around the house. That was quite a moment. And the Twilight Zone movie as well, for example. And if they're done right, it really works well. If you get a shitty one like one of the VHS movies, I haven't seen all of them, but apparently they get better as it goes on. But some of the VHS movies are bloody awful because they just go and put in a tape and here's a monster scare, and it's just like, oh fucking hell, piss off. You're doing nothing for me on that. Just by making people jump does nothing. But this really works for me, and I love a nice little short horror. I will watch those little fan films and homemade films that they do on Facebook, not Facebook, on YouTube all day, like Lights Out.
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
I will watch a 15-minute one of those and be like, that's great, and then I'll watch the 2-hour version of the same thing and be like, oh, get on with it.
That's the problem. As you said, Jim, it kind of suits the short form.
Certainly does.
When there's not much of a story there, why pad it out? Why drag it out? If you've got 4 or 5 little shorts, then stick them together and put a through story through it, and you've made a nice cult classic.
It's funny because horror and comedy are very similar in many ways, and the short format suits comedy better as well, which is why there are dozens, if not hundreds, of excellent sitcoms, but not actually that many feature films that pull off being funny from start to finish.
No. And those that do tend to be yeah, I was going to say scene by scene. You know, the Airplane and Naked Gun movies come straight to mind and they're not really stories. They're just like one-off scenes, which are gags in themselves, and then you can just move on. But anyway, moving on a little bit. Which this is another one of those. What's your favourite colour kind of thing? But was there any particular story that stood out to you as particularly disturbing? Which one pressed your buttons? And I will go the other way around this time. We'll start with you, Dal.
Yeah.
What was the one that made you go, fuck that?
It wasn't so much the stories themselves, it was the scares that they put in there are the things that, because I thought each story had its fair share of fucking, I think I've just shit myself bits. The bit where, like, give you an example, Martin Freeman is in the kid's room and he just moves and all of a sudden the fucking nappies explode.
Oh, that bit. When it just went...
bit. Yeah, it just went... And then, all of a sudden, all the fucking creams and everything just suddenly pick themselves up and pile themselves on top of one another. And I'm thinking, if that was me in that room, I've just seen this now right in front of my eyes, I would be out of there. I would be gone. Yeah. Same again with the subtleties of that second story where Andy Nyman's standing in the passageway and he can just see someone standing in the kitchen, and he kind of just tilts and sees the mum and the dad staring at the wall. That as well creeped the fuck out of me. That, but especially in the first one with Paul Whitehouse, the stuff that went on in there, especially that sort of sleight of hand thing where he thinks he's seeing someone in a bed and he gets closer to it and it's just a mop. Yeah. And that was nicely done. I like that. But the whole thing of being trapped there by himself, the door closing, and then suddenly, you know, the hand coming up and reaching inside his mouth. It's just like, fuck, stop now. All right, I get the point. I see what you're doing. You can stop this now. We get you. All right, you can stop, please, for fucking just stop now. I can't take this anymore. This is too much. This is just, but it just so works on me. It does. It's really, really well done. Fantastic piece of cinema. That.
And what about you, Jim? Because I mean, I know you must have seen so many horror films by now that you can't be affected by any of them. You got to have gone numb by now, haven't you?
Well, if it's done well, it draws you in. That's the thing. I mean, I think for me, it's kind of the scariest story is probably the Paul Whitehouse Night Watchman thing.
Oh God, yeah, terrifying.
Because that is just that kind of that takes you back to that kind of primal, hardwired fear of the dark.
Oh, God, yeah.
And we're scared of the dark for good bloody reason because we can't see. You know what I mean? And that automatically just sends your body into warning.
Yeah.
Our vision is impaired. We cannot see.
Nice.
But if you know something about those, what makes that so effective? It's just the sort of building it's in. I mean, no, it has that layer in the story of the history. It's an asylum, but it's just like an abandoned building full of crap.
Yeah.
But that makes it more effective because it's like completely mundane. It's the kind of building you might walk past.
Yeah.
Or drive past in an industrial area. You know what I mean? It makes it. It's not some spooky castle. It's somewhere very immediate and recognizable, and utterly boring and uncinematic. And that's what makes it so terrifying when you start hearing noises in the dark. I think it just works so well. The thing with the finger in the mouth actually comes from an M.R. James story.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There's I can't remember which story it is, but there's a fan where kind of a man messes about things he shouldn't do, and this horrible kind of guardian spectre kind of puts its arm around him and sort of reaches out to put his bony fingers in his mouth, and that flips him out. But that's where it comes from. There's a lot of little layered references. Like Andy Nyman's character's costume. Okay, if you bear with me, I'll put a picture in the chat.
Right.
That particular look with the cap and the tweed tweed suit, that is a direct reference to the 1968 A Whistle and I'll Come to You.
Oh, my word.
BBC film. I'll just stick that in the chat there.
Go on.
But that is where his costume comes from.
Oh, my word.
Which is a Jonathan Miller adaptation of an M.R. James story.
And there's Michael Holden wearing pretty much exactly the same costume.
Yeah.
I fucking love that. That story. I mean, I've got a bit of a liking for both versions. The original one, which I think is the scarier one, but the John Hurt version, it's the one bit at the very end when things really kind of kick off, and it's all I'm going to say is fingers. That's all I'm going to say. It's just yeah.
Cool. Elton?
Yes. Well,
where were your roast potatoes most distributed?
Well, just before I get onto that, the finger in the mouth thing. Am I right in thinking that leads into the main story of Pipes being in his mouth as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's the feeding tube.
Yeah, that's like the snap back to reality type moment, isn't it?
That's it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I really like that. That's the thing that I noticed the second time round. You're like, what is that all about? And then you get to it, and you're like, and then you watch it again. You're like, yeah, I love that. That works so well.
Well, did you? While we're just on did you notice when he pulls up to Cameron's camper van? Yeah, he parks in front. He parks in front of a bunch of garages. Did you see all the numbers spray painted on the garages?
Yeah.
Okay.
And same numbers are on the inside of the gun cabinet Martin Freeman has in the middle of nowhere.
That's it. Yeah.
There's
and
numbers
they actually appear at the very start of the film, scratched onto the movie very quickly.
That's right. Yeah, they're the timing markers right at the beginning. Yeah.
I love that sort of thing when you throw numbers in and sometimes it doesn't mean anything, but if they're through the whole thing, then you're like, that's such a cool little touch.
Yeah.
The one that really got me, I suppose it was the Paul Whitehouse one that really creeped me. It is the scared of the dark, the scared of the noises, going down dark stairs, lights flashing, your torch plays up. Of course, why wouldn't it play up? Of course it would. You're in a horror movie, aren't you? So, yeah, it's you have your ET moment as well, which always gets me. Them sort of things. I don't enjoy the jump scares at all. The creepiness, I can forgive it for because it's evoking a feeling in you. But a jump scare is just, well, look what we can make you do. And it's the roller coaster moment where you don't have any control of your body, and you're like, all of a sudden, you're like, oh my god, I've moved 4 feet. So it's a tough one. But the Paul Whitehouse one was laid up so well with him being such a freaky dude, so obnoxious and so creepy, and you're not understanding what this bloke is doing. Is he there for an interview? He doesn't really want to be there. He's so obtuse about absolutely everything. And then you get his story and the camera work as well. But it starts on his watch, and it's such a close in shot coming up, and you can hear the fizzing of his cigarette burning, and just the whole atmosphere of that one is just absolutely bob on. I think it works so well. It's a creepy vibe to it. Like I said, I don't like the jump scare. Why would you go in that room? Honestly, why would you? Okay, the chain's fallen off and the door opens. Yeah, there's no way I'm going in there. Not a chance.
Can I just interject for just a minute there? Something talking about going into rooms and doing what he does. What makes his story, especially for me, terrifying is his character himself. This is a man who's like based completely in reality, right? He has no understanding of no to him the supernatural just does not exist, right? That's it. And to have it kind of meet him with all his bravado and stuff like this, and he's absolutely fucking goes to pieces in it. I think even that, it's that, I don't know, it's almost sort of like H.P. Lovecraft with like Call of Cthulhu, with like, people not kind of comprehending like elder gods standing right in front of them and going completely fucking mad.
Yeah.
It's that kind of, this is outside my realm of understanding. I have absolutely no skin in this game whatsoever. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Yeah, who's playing with me? Because this can't be anything else apart from someone screwing around.
Yeah. Yep. But just to answer your question about the why would he open the doors and why would he go in there? Once you know the general gist of the overarching story, it's the idea he's symbolically opening areas of his mind that he doesn't want to open.
Oh yeah, this is nothing to do with the characters in there. This is, each character doesn't really exist. No,
and that's the thing I find really interesting, because on first watch, you'd be in exactly that position of going, why on earth would you go and open that door? Why on earth would you go and do this, that, and the other? And it's like, no, it's not him. It's actually Philip Goodman's character mentally doing a thing.
Yeah.
And it's symbolically being represented by a character doing something stupid inside a ghost story, which I thought was really interesting, because the first time you watch it, you go, what on earth is he doing? Why on earth is he doing it? And then it's like, no, he's unlocking areas of his mind. It's opening up areas that he doesn't want to open. Symbolically, that's what's going on there. But, yeah. Cool. I was just going to say, just to change. I mean, I love the Paul Whitehouse one because it is fundamentally one of those horrors that you can quickly get a grip on, and you don't need much in the way of story just to go. You're in a broken old building. You've heard there's stories about it. Two people have already left and told me to leave. I've stayed. Oh dear, I've made a terrible mistake. But the one that got me was actually the one in the car. Because there we go, sharing time again. I don't like the forest. Okay? That's a thing. I've always liked the idea of electricity, lights, brightness. Civilization. Even if civilization isn't always civil, at least you feel like you could have a word with it. If a bear comes out of the woods and you go, excuse me, Mr. Bear, look, I think there's been a misunderstanding. Hey! You can't do that. You know, here's a $5. Take my wallet, please. No. Oh, fuck. So the idea, I mean, I've been to places like, you know, Centre Parks and all these kind of places where it's like kind of, there's no light outside. But the reason you like it is because you still got light behind you in the chalet. But I've been to places where people have actually gone, oh no, let's go camping. Let's go outside. And you're out camping and you sort of like, okay, now I need to go to the loo. And then you step outside of the tent and it's like, there is nothing. In fact, the brightest thing in the sky is the sky. It's just like, there's nothing. You cannot see a fucking thing. You could be standing 1 foot away from absolutely anything and you would not see it. And your brain just goes straight into overdrive. What's that? What can I hear? What can I see?
Yeah.
How long can I hold this piss? Because I ain't going out there now.
Yeah, exactly. Don't worry. I'm sure I can find a jar that's empty and just piss into that.
That's me not weeing until morning. Hey.
What do you mean I have to go number 2? No! So when he goes out in that car and the car breaks down, there is just something intrinsically deep inside me that just suddenly goes, oh, fucking no. And not only, oh, no, but why on earth haven't you used the central locking and just closed the
thinking that as well.
car straight away? And then when he hits something, it was just like, oh, my God. And again, sharing time, but once we were doing the Black Dog, and I drove you home, didn't I, Dal?
Yeah.
I used to drive you home, and I came driving down at like 2 a.m, and driving down Shooters Hill, and this
it's this one.
Yeah, and this fucking fox ran out in front of me, and I hit it at what must have been about 40 miles an hour, and I just and I pulled over, stopped in the middle of the road on Shooters Hill, and I'm just like, where is it? Where's it gone? I can't even see it. And I looked around. I genuinely looked around everywhere, and I could not see it. And my car's just idling away. And then I just heard like a, and I'm just like, do you know what? Nature's going to do its thing. And sorry, Mr. Fox. I don't know where you are.
It's weird because there's a farm on that hill as well, so you probably heard a lot of noises from there.
I was in that car, and I'm not ashamed to say it, I damn near shat myself. So
you were out like a rocket.
Yeah, I was.
All of y'all could just suck my dick. I'm easy here. I'm still talking shit. Peace out.
Yeah, 5,000 G mic drop. Yeah, that's the moment where you realise the difference between you as a superhero in a video game and you as a normal human being faced with the same situation. You don't sit there and go, right, come on, then, let's sort this out. You're like, right, get in this car and fuck off. And,
you've reminded me of another story you told me after.
Not the silly cunt dressed as Slender Man.
Stood by the roadside as you rode by. I think you're trying to flag your car down.
Motherfucker tried to flag my car down while wearing a white mask and a fucking suit. You can fuck right off, mate. I nearly ran him over.
Yep.
Silly fucker.
I've got your creepy pasta right here, mate. There we go.
Yeah. Take your Partaker fucking knockoff and piss off because you're going under my wheels. If you so much as even step in front of my car, you are dead. I don't
You really
care.
will be Slender Man.
You'll be very Slender Man.
You fucking flat man. That's what you'll fucking be.
Exactly. Yeah, I fucking hate Shooters Hill and Welling. It's fucking mental. But yeah, but because of all of that and because of those harrowing drives to just drop Darren off at 2 a.m, that idea that the car would break down and you've hit something and it's out there. I mean, the ending of that with the tree was stupid as fuck, and it's probably the weakest bit of the film. But the bit with the goat man thing, it's just like, and then the back door opens and no, fuck it out.
And that is where the play wins out in one aspect, in one story, over the actual film. Because do you remember how that story ended on stage, Lee? Fuck me. Jesus H. Fucking Christ. Yep. Oh, I didn't see that coming.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that was a thing.
Yep, that really was a thing.
Yeah. If anybody wants me, I'll just be changing my pantaloons. If you don't mind me. So, yeah.
I think that moment got my biggest laugh as well. When he had the A to Z in his hand and he attacked the window with it. It's just such a beautiful reaction, I thought.
Yeah.
But that it does have the best line in the film, though. Steve, fuck that.
Exactly.
Love it.
Love it. So, yeah. Anyway, moving on from that. I mean, what about the overarching story? The final overarching story. How did we feel about it, especially when it comes to the actual reveal? Because, and I'll just say this, and then I'll let someone else jump in. But for me, that after the tree section, the tree bed, it is the weakest moment because it feels like it comes out of left field and suddenly is like, oh, it's front and center, and we're in the middle of it. Whereas, like I say, with the play, and I know this is unfair to compare it against the play, but the play spots those bits with the kid Kojak in his coat throughout all the other scenes, throughout all the other stories. He's there. You'll notice him in the corner somewhere, or standing out of shot on the edge of your field of view. He's there. Whereas in this, he just rocks up in the film in the last 5-10 minutes, and it's just like,
he's there in the caravan. He's there in a picture on the wall when he's going up to the kid's bedroom.
That's true, actually.
Yeah. Cause he's in the caravan behind the guy as he's waving goodbye to him or saying goodbye to him. I'm trying to think where else he is. He's following them across the moors as well.
That's true. No, okay, maybe I'm being unfair then on that one.
But there's also other things as well. There's dead birds. There's wall-to-wall dead birds throughout.
Yeah.
Random appearances from Fine Fairbanks.
Yes.
The two bullies actually from his life appear very early on a beach, farting around with a dead bird as well.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
So there's actually it is sort of seedy. I think it more kind of. I felt the same way the first time I watched it, but in subsequent viewings, you start seeing these other little allusions to his own story that are seeping through all the others.
Yeah.
And in fact, the more you see, the more there is. I mean, if you go online, there's people who've got all sorts of theories that say kind of, in the second story, the two parents, they're his parents.
Of course.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of
I'd
which-
have to watch it again to double check that. I read that today. Going, is it? Oh, I'll have to have a closer look there.
One of which is Shadwell from was it? Absolutely. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Anyway.
Shadwell.
Shadwell.
Went to a fancy dress party once, dressed as a smell. I used to stick my fingers up people's noses and go, "Here, sniff this."
Yes.
Here's a poem I wrote called Yes. No. Well, all right.
Oh God, we've gone off course. Pull up.
Well, he used to wear a parka though. There we go.
There you go. That's it.
Absolutely. Stony Bridge.
Yeah.
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 You've been to New York, now come to Stony Bridge and tell us about it.
But interestingly, Gordon, isn't it Gordon Kay? He was in
Not Gordon Kay. It's Gordon. I know the bloke you mean.
Yeah, it was in Borderlands.
Yeah, that's right.
A wicked final prayer for you in the Americas, and he was that was a great film as well.
God, I like that
Borderlands,
Fantastic movie.
Yeah.
especially that finale.
Oh,
Yeah,
right,
a British film, a British
Yeah.
horror.
But it goes back to what Jim was saying about horror and comedy not being too far apart, because it seems like horror films with comedians in it work really well.
Well, it gives you the relief, doesn't it?
You think you're all right, you're safe because these guys make you laugh.
Mm-hmm.
Because
What was it?
Yeah.
It said that comedians make the best actors as well. There's something about the way that they handle humour. You know, to go completely the opposite from what they normally are works really well for them.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense because they've got to have that sense of timing, which horror really does need in some cases, especially with jump scares. But okay, I mean just getting back to just to get back to the main the overarching story. I mean, again, Darren, you and I have seen the play, so we knew where it was going. But I was going to say, what about you, Elton? When did you twig that something was going off?
When did I twig?
Or put it another way, when did you realise what was going on, and when did you think something was up, and then what did you think of the finale itself?
The first and second time, I really enjoyed the finale. I really like the underbelly story. I think it works really, really well. Does work much better second time round. But I still enjoyed it the first time round. It was a nice surprise, and watching the guy in the bed, and then you can see like the texts come through, and you think back to it going, okay, right, that's why he's hearing that. He's just hearing all these things and forming stories in his head. It's great. And also dark when you think about it as well. When did I twig? I the first time I don't think I twigged it. And maybe when things start going a bit doolally in the caravan the second time he's visited the caravan, it was a bit okay. And then all of a sudden, old Bilbo Baggins is in front of you, and you're like, right, okay.
Bilbo Baggins.
It's all got a bit weird now, hasn't it? Right, okay. This is far deeper than what I'm actually seeing here, and I'm maybe missing bits, but. I felt it was. I thought it was really good. I like that story. I like the weirdness of the locked in syndrome and it being mentioned earlier on, and even like the little flashes of the mirror all the way through the upside down curtains. You're like, what is that? I wonder what that is. And then all of a sudden, Paul Whitehouse wheels it over. There you go, fella. Here's a different view for you. You're like, okay, there it is. And then you see a bird hit a window. You're like, yeah, that's everything there, isn't it? Brilliant. Thank you so much. Yeah, I really like that. I think that's so cool because it gets me thinking. It gets me thinking about all the stories going there. about the whole world that he's building inside of his head, and then it makes me think: does everything mean something then? Like where the caravans are and the crumbly road, is that some sort of representation of time that he has left, or his sanity crumbling away? I don't know. Maybe I'm looking too deep into these things, but I love that sort of thing that it makes me think about them.
Yeah. What about you, Jim? Because I was going to say, because it's very easy to go off that rail and follow that line of thought without them, because it's just like, yeah, what does it mean? What do all these things mean? You know. But I wanted to get your thoughts on it first before we go there.
I really like it, and I sort of actually when I first saw it, I wasn't sure about the ending. I think it's very clever, but it sort of it had a slight whiff of and it was all a dream, which is never satisfying. But I have to say, on second and third viewings and subsequent viewings, well, actually, no, even after I started thinking about the film after the first time I saw it, I reviewed it. I think I did a spoiler section to read it. Is the kind of these things that don't actually add up in that last sequence, or rather, they do add up once you realise. And it's kind of, I mean, I have a massive tinfoil hat theory that end sequence is another dream.
Ooh, okay. We're going down the Inception route.
well, the thing is, you're seeing the mirror all the way through, but the mirror isn't moved in front of his eyes until the end.
Right.
We've had 3 dreams full of dead birds, but then a dead bird hits the window. So a dead bird hitting the window can't find its way retroactively into what we've seen the last hour and a half. And when the ghost of Kojak pulls him down the tunnel to the curtains and opens and reveals the bed, he says, "Oh no, not again."
So he's...
That part of that dream at the end isn't what's really going on. That's where he's reached such a point of horror. He's had a complete shutdown, and he's rationalized everything. So it's all right, I'm just in a coma, and all these horrible things that happened. Oh, well, you know, Mr. Priddle, he's actually my doctor, and the chap in the car, he's the junior doctor, and the night watchman, he'll be the janitor. And yes, there's a mirror over my eyes, that's why.
Yeah.
And he's actually caught in this horrible loop of nightmare, forever nightmares.
Yeah.
What actually is real, I think he's very much open to questions. Well, you know, because basically it's kind of, I think kind of in the stories, you want to go deep, it's kind of, if all the characters are made up by him, the aspects of him, and the young man in the second, Mr. Rifkin, we know he's an habitual liar. And so, you know, how much, I think that it's an interesting question. What exactly is true in any of these dreams within dreams, as it were?
Yeah. Well, it's that whole thing of the brain sees what it wants to see, isn't it? That's the running theme, isn't it, all the way through? So, okay.
But he has this remarkable power to rationalize things away, and it's that kind of, it's like when the Martin Freeman character confronts him on the railway line. He says, "It wasn't me who bullied him. I never called him Kojak." Beat to his face.
Yeah.
Kind of, "Yo, you lying bastards."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's kind of, this is the ultimate, you know, thing, because he is a liar. And he knows he's a liar. I think there's so many different layers and so many rabbit holes you can go down, and it's expertly constructed to be like this hall of mirrors. You know, how, as Edgar Allan Poe said, you know, all we think or see is just but a dream within a dream, and that is this movie. And the more I watch it, the more I think that end sequence that is another dream, or rather, that's the start of the dream cycle. The bird hits the window. He's looking into the mirrors, and then it starts again. Whether there'll be different stories next time round, who knows? But sooner or later, the ghost of Kojak will get him and drag him back to that bed and pin him down. And he'll have a complete shutdown again, and it'll continue.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm trying to work. Because I mean, I kind of get it. I do. I mean, I totally get it. About it being a loop, and whether or not any of it's real. I don't know. I don't mean this disrespectfully, but I don't know that the ending being a dream would thematically make much sense. But that's because I'm sitting here thinking at the end he is having that shut-in syndrome, and he's heard that, and that features earlier on. So therefore coming out into the reality is kind of like the gotcha, where they show all the things that he's basically taking in. That doesn't mean to say you're wrong, though, because, I mean, like I say, I've only seen this film once. I've seen the play once. I'm just trying to...
It's a clinch for me when he says, "Oh, no, not again." And it's that thing of kind of... Would they have had those exact conversations earlier for him to have fabricated the dreams we've seen before? You see, it's a line of cause and effect. We suggest it is kind of... This is a circular instance. Maybe that is a simple moment of reality in between, but I think there is that kind of, it is all going to start again.
Well, you've also got that whole thing of the life flashes before your eyes. Moment of, he's the shotgun represents him trying to blow his own head off in the car.
In the car, he asphyxiated. It wasn't a shock.
Suicide attempt. And, and that hearing Martin Freeman going, asphyxiating the car, shotgun, that's what would do it. Shots onto the face. As you say, he says that after we've already seen Martin Freeman shoot himself.
Well, we don't know the time scale of it, anything really. And dreams are a weird thing. That state where you can kind of hear things, and I think we've all had dreams where a noise outside has been interpreted in our dream, and yet it feels like hours ago that we heard that, but really it's just happening. So there's a weird time fuddle with dreams. It's a strange and peculiar world.
I like the word time fuddle. I think that should be the caption for this week.
Yep.
Time fuddle. What about... Okay, I tell you what, before we go too far down that rabbit hole, I just want to get Darren's vibe on the final end thing, because obviously he has seen the play, and we knew how it was going, and because I got the feeling if we go too far down that rabbit hole with is he replaying this dead? Is he dying? Is it real? Is it life, or is it Memorex? I mean, it's. I think we could.
Maybe
I think we could go on for another. Exactly. We could be here for another hour. But before we get to that, Dow, I mean, just to cover your thoughts on the end and the overarching story.
I thought the play. And what's amazing about this is it's live, it's on stage, it's not got any film effects going on. You can't, do any fancy camera tricks when you're watching a play. I thought the play did it so much better, even just the idea they used for it, how they show this very similar sort of thing.
By the way, the play is no longer running. It got cancelled in 2020 due to COVID.
Oh, well, there you go. Back. Right. Well, in the play, it does actually do something very similar, but it does it better with the same. It's the same idea, but it's not. It's a very sort of stripped down. Very stripped down version of what you see. There's not this lengthy taking him through this, that, or the other, you suddenly the actual trickery they use on stage, the way they do it is very, very well done. And I'll tell you what, I couldn't tell the difference between how things end and how it begins. Andy Nyman was fucking brilliant in that. He really was. And it's just like, this is live. How the fuck is he doing this? How is he exactly fucking movement for movement, expression for expression, exactly the same as he was 2 hours ago?
Yeah.
How is he pulling this off? How much training did he have? You know, it's just.
I mean, I don't know if we need to give it away or not, or whether we keep it quiet.
Well, if the play's not available anymore and they can't do it, like I say, it's very similar. The actual ending is very similar in idea to what you see on the film. I'm not going to give away what they do on stage.
No,
because I think if it doesn't,
because the shock is everything.
Yeah, the shock is everything. The actual way they pull it off as well. It's a masterpiece. It's like, now this is clever theatre. The way they do this, just this whole thing, so how well it was thought out, how well it was done. I think it wins hands down over the film version. Is almost bordering on cliche because this is not the first time we've seen the they're all dead type ending. You know, so they've been going to purgatory all this time. There's a surprise.
Well, like Jim says, it's all a dream.
Yeah, it's that, right? I mean, it you can do that, but it's like Frank Carson said, it's the way you tell them. You know, and the play does it. It makes it fresh, that kind of thing. I think personally,
yeah,
it really does play with it well. So, you know, well done to Andy Nyman and his team for getting that spot on there. So yeah, I don't mind it. It does come off as a little bit tiny. It's bordering on cliche in the film. But to tell you the truth, the film scared me. It creeped me the fuck out. So as far as I'm concerned, I've got it. It's like, you know, that's a very small point of contention. It really
small
is.
hill to die on.
Yeah, it's a tiny bump in an otherwise smooth road for me.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, as far as I don't want to go into it's not as good as a play because Darren's done that much better than I could.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that's all right. It's just because I don't remember an awful lot of it beyond that fucking shock, which I nearly maybe shit myself in the first row. But
I was sat up in the fucking gods watching this, and I felt affected by it. So God knows what I would have felt like sat where you were.
Yeah,
they would have had to cart me out of there a fucking screaming mess, I think. So
yeah, I mean, I won't tell you just in case it does come back because it is something you need to experience. But fuck me, there's not many moments I've ever had a genuine shock in my life. But that last 2-3 minutes of that play were just fuck off. Just fuck off and never darken my doors
in the best
again.
possible way, yes.
Yeah, in the best possible way. Please get me a neuralizer and burn that memory out of my brain. And please get me some new pantaloons.
Yes. Right, filled mine.
Yeah. I mean, as far as the end of the film is concerned, apart from the story, which I'd already mentioned, I kind of felt a little rushed. The symbolism, the mirror, that kind of thing. Once you started to realize where we were going and that it wasn't all real and things were going wrong, and I was just like, oh yeah, this is really well done. This is really well put together, and I liked it. I just found that the story with Kojak was a little a little bit too hurried because it came out of like nowhere in a sort of like, oh, we got 15 minutes, wrap it up kind of vibe. But what I did like was going back at looking at all the other stories and how they fed into this. So, like, for example, and this is my tinfoil hat. So, for example, the dark hole of the Echo with Kojak basically dying in it.
Oh,
is
man.
is a horrible situation, and I not good with that kind of shit anyway. But that scene kind of reflects back to the car, where he's kind of in a car and he's trapped in the dark, unable to go anywhere, doesn't know where he is, completely, and the boy is kind of childish. The guy driving the car is a completely childish kid, so he kind of represents Kojak and the dark and everything. And it's like, oh, you start putting those pieces together, and it's like you do go down a rabbit hole of trying to tie the bits together. I mean, now that Jim's thrown in, oh, maybe even the maybe even the bed's not real. It's like, oh, for goodness sake! Now I'm 3 layers deep. I can't hear Je ne regrette rien anymore. I can just hear. Brum, brum.
Well, there is that phrase, isn't there? You made your bed, now lie in it.
Exactly.
I think I'm seeing things where there are no things now. Oh, but man, the 3-legged dog. Oh, it's America. Yes.
Well, Jim started it. You can blame him. I mean, because I think there is something to it. I do think there's something to it, especially when now I start to think about how scenes are being played out outside, and they happen chronologically in the movie after everything else that we've seen. So even like getting the kid's name wrong, Rifkind.
Yeah,
Mr. And it's like the kid corrects him. All that stuff happens after we've seen the scenes. So either those moments.
Plus that kid is too young to be a doctor.
Well, yeah. But but it's like you start to put all the stuff, all the symbolism together of the different stories, and it's just that I really liked it. I thought it worked really well. I will wrap up unless anyone's got any other things, but what I will wrap up with is one last question, which is jump scares. Now, Elton touched on it earlier, and I just want to get your vibes on this, because for me, jump scares work when you don't expect them, when things happen and the film isn't kind of signposting it. And what I mean by signposting is to use, for example, The Descent, which is a very good film. But when you're in the dark and the character's full frame, and then the camera moves like a foot to the left or a foot to the right, and there's just a dark, empty space, it's just like, okay, jump scare in 3, 2, 1, and then it suddenly goes, whee, and then something appears. And those kind of jump scares, they make me jump, obviously, but they don't make me scared. Yet the ones in this worked. Was that the same for you guys?
Yeah, for me.
But how do we feel about jump scares in general? I mean,
well, it's one of those. There's two sorts of jump scares. I think there's I think when we say jump scares, we often talk about just the cheap trick of just go quiet, loud, or the visual equivalent of nothing happening, pop, something Jack in the Box is you. They can be very effective, but the thing is, it's they're kind of like guitar solos in rock music.
Mm.
They have to be orchestrated and come at the right moment. If they come at the right moment, they can really elevate and push the song along. If you're just thrown in, scattered in, it doesn't work. And you get the cheap jump, but then you get the audience's contempt. You're what I call the spring-loaded cat syndrome, because cats are much abused for crap jump scares that do nothing to progress the plot. Just there to put in a scare. Whereas I think the scares in this, they're much more like kind of how to say, like Roger Corman sort of pioneered this technique of scare. You'd have like, you know, he was inspired by Freudian theory, believe it or not, and he did them in his Poe films. But the idea, you'd have characters sort of talking and they're going down a long spooky staircase or down a corridor, and then suddenly a character will appear in frame and say something, or you know, the camera will cut to something suddenly, and you've got this kind of building anticipation, and then bang, a release, and it's like telling a good joke.
Yeah,
it's kind of, it works, and you set up for the next one. You're in the mood for another one, and I think Ghost Stories does that sort of thing very well, rather than just here's a cheap joke. It's a jump scare. They haven't done it for 10 minutes. I'll keep on the toes. Whereas this, everything's sort of quite logical. It's to build up, say, that tension, then release tension as well. But only so now you're fucking more alert and like, Jesus Christ, what's going on? And the Paul Whitehouse sequence, I think, uses them expertly to the point I wouldn't really say the jump scares, because what we think of as jump scares is something like so naff and just thrown in, whereas these are just perfectly timed just to really give you a poke in the ribs.
Cool. What about you then? Now, how are you feeling about that? About those things? As the most nervous of the four of us.
Yeah, I think they need to be warranted. Sometimes when there's nothing on the end of them, they can be quite good. There was a perfect one in the Paul Whitehouse one, where everything's quiet. He's just drinking his tea or listening to the radio, and then the walkie-talkie just screams at you. And it made me jump. But then you're like, no, nothing's really there. But it feels like it should be there. It's not a case of this movie has gone on for 25 minutes. We haven't had a scare. It's time to schedule one in. Let's put one in the bank, and the flow chart says, right, okay, stick one in here now, just because we haven't had one. And it doesn't work like that. That for me, that's cheap. That's nasty. It does do it a little bit with the ET scare, because they always get me. I think the more effective one was the wife in the corner of the room, because they know something's fucking happening. Yeah. And then it jump scares you, and that is acceptable. That's like, shit. It's about, I was just about to say it was about to go down, but it already happened. You can kind of telegraph it like that, but yeah, I'm not a fan of them anyway. I don't like being scared. I'd rather hold everyone's coats.
Yeah, but this counted as a five potato.
Oh yeah, definitely
movie.
Yeah,
right. Okay, so cool. Dow, what's your take on jump scares?
Well, I think jump scares prove what you said. As said a couple of times, where I think it was you or it was Jim said horror and comedy are very similar. It's all about timing.
Nice, good work.
Yeah. So it is all about timing. It's try again. It's that word I've used before, cliche. The whole thing about what Jim said about the what was that about the cat, Jim? What was that phrase?
The spring-loaded cat.
The spring-loaded cat, right?
Yeah.
Or in the case of a certain film that you absolutely adore, Lee, the stuffed owl.
Oh, not the fucking Blair Witch 2. Fucking hellfire.
Have an owl.
Have an owl.
Yeah, this film, I think, whoever wrote it just has mastered the art of the jump scare. They understand, I think, very well where these things need to come in. I know I sound like I'm almost gushing about this film, but there is an awful lot about it that to love. That's it.
Yeah.
It just really, I'd like to thank the people that made it for actually making a horror film that made me feel like this, that did exactly what it said on the tin that it was going to do. And it's a horror film. This is proper horror for me. Proper scary horror. It's not like, it's very well done,
Yeah. I mean, I don't normally dig jump scares, but it did work. These worked well because the tension built up beforehand. So it earned those jump scares, as far as I'm concerned.
And it did really pull them as well when you weren't expecting them.
Yeah,
that's it.
I can often
no
find
build up.
I mean, I can often find them tiring, and as Jim, as you rightly said, it earns my contempt after a while. I would sooner be scared by seeing, Michael Myers standing in someone's garden behind the washing, just looking up, than Michael Myers suddenly leaps out of a bush. Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what I found was really, really good as well in this? On sort of like the same with jump scares, this is, I think, a good description of it. There was no dead space on screen, right? There wasn't this, why is that character on the left-hand side of the screen and there's absolutely nothing? Oh, that's because the evil spirit has just come into shot right there.
Yeah.
Because they needed to set the shot up to scare you. Oh, it's a ghosty and boo.
Yeah. Speaking of the jump scare cat, I have put something in the chat which I will put in the Facebook group once the episode goes live, which is the spring-loaded cat gag that was actually in Community, the TV show, during their horror episode.
Really?
Where they're sort of walking. They're basically just to give it context, everyone's been poisoned by some off tuna. Which was taken from a strange army surplus store, and may have some deadly chemicals in it, turning them into zombies. So the three of the main characters are now hiding in a storeroom in the school, trying to find a way out, and they keep getting attacked by a cat, and it's the spring-loaded cat gag. But it happens so many times, it's like, what the fuck is wrong with that cat? But anyway, yes, right. Has anyone got anything additional they'd like to bring up?
No, I think I'm good.
Or are we all looking at the clock and going, fuck me, it's 12:05? Yeah, I think we're all saying, fuck me, it's 12:05. Your silence speaks volumes, chaps. It's fine. We're all friends here. Fuck me, it's 12:05. We've been talking for an hour and 28 minutes on this film. Right, okay, well, we'll wrap it up there. Right, before we go into the the usual sort of pimp's corner, Darren.
Yes.
Assuming you're not looking at the Community gag.
No. I'm sitting here ready to reveal what we are going to be watching for next week.
What will we be watching? Not next week because we're away on the 15th, but we will be back the following week when we return on the 22nd. What will we be watching?
Okay, just a little disclaimer at the beginning of this. This film was actually suggested to me by Ree, because I was struggling earlier on. It's like, I think I've watched all the horror ones that I actually like on the Black Dog, and I think I have. I don't know if we've watched that one. I can't remember. I think we have. And I was just like, I'm stuck. I don't know what to go for. And so Ree suggested this movie to me.
Are you actually throwing your partner under the bus?
No.
Let's just get this. Let's get this out there.
No, this is actually on on Amazon, which is where it's
Mm.
Amazon Prime, it's actually got a 4.75 out of 5 in the rating for this.
Okay. Okay.
It stars Kelly Riley, who is
Mhm.
absolutely fantastic in Yellowstone. If you've ever seen the series, I've not seen the show itself,
Mhm.
but I've seen a compilation of all her bits from the show in it, and I could have sat and watched another 3 hours of her just doing her thing. She's
Right.
absolutely brilliant. And
Okay.
Michael Fassbender as well,
Right.
as a couple who go away for a romantic weekend, but are
Mhm.
disturbed by a bunch of youngsters who encircle their camp.
Mm-hmm.
And this film is called Eden Lake.
Eden Lake.
Eden Lake.
Okay.
Let's see, what year is it? I think
A
it's 2008.
2008.
Yeah.
2008 horror action movie. And it's a British horror thriller written and directed by
Again.
James Watkins.
And did you see who else is in it as well?
Jack O'Connell.
Jack O'Connell.
Yeah. Michael Fassbender, Jack O'Connell, who last saw running around Belfast.
Yep.
Yeah, nice. Okie dokie. Well, we will see. We will see what this is like. Jim, have you seen Eden Lake?
I have.
And are you looking forward to seeing it again?
No.
Okay.
Oh,
I
God.
haven't seen this at all.
Do you know, from what you just said there, Jim, Ree's kind of what she said, the ending. Yep.
Oh, don't spoil it. Don't spoil
No.
it. Don't spoil it. No, don't say anything.
She started giving me this sort of, and I'm like, I'm going to need therapy after this, aren't I?
Right. Okay. Don't say
No,
another
I
word.
I warn you, it's a gloves off film. I'll just say that.
Okay. 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 I have the fear now, but okay. Elton.
Uh-huh.
Silly question, I guess, but have you seen Eden Lake?
No, I've seen the poster.
Well, of course you have. We literally just
How-
didn't.
How did you feel about the poster? How many roast potatoes was that?
How are you feeling about the poster?
I've seen the
Was
poster
it sponsored by King Edwards?
previously, but no, I have not seen this. So
Yeah. Was this film sponsored by Spud You Like? Okay. Okay, right. I've not seen this film. I've seen it advertised several times on different platforms. But no, I have not seen this. I'm now, based on Jim's reaction, I'm not sure whether I'm looking forward to it for the isn't that going to be cool, or the oh god, I'm going to get annoyed by it kind
it's,
of vibe.
it's never good when Jim goes, nope, not looking forwud to it. I'm like, oh, no.
Yeah, this is either one of those films which is going to put him off. As put him. I'm analysing the film based on Jim's reaction. To be perfectly honest, I don't know what we could be getting into here. I think this could be right. I'm not going to look at anything else. I'm just going to oh my god. Right. Well, there you go. Eden Lake, ladies and gentlemen, on Amazon Prime. Let's find out what everyone's going to be running into there. So, yes. You do know this. You do know that anything we say next week should not be taken as a dink against next week when we come back. Should not be taken as a dink against Ree.
Yeah.
Although it may be.
But
Once we've seen it.
It's kind of like Jim's reaction is kind of really like, okay.
That's kind of what I was thinking. Yeah.
I started feeling the anxiety as she was describing, and it's like, I'm already on tenterhooks with this now, and I've not even watched it. I've never seen this film at all.
Fine. Okay. Well, So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Next time when we return on the 22nd, we will be reviewing Eden Lake, which sounds to me like a jolly fun time. Or not.
Yep.
So before we get on with that, Jim, do you want to go over to Pimp's Corner and tell us all about Hypnagoria this week?
Yes. Over on Hypnagoria, I'm currently started a new series on the Edgar Allan Poe films of Roger Corman. Part 1 is out now, and part 2 will be along this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And on Commentary Club, if I get it edited, we'll be looking at the first episode of The League of Gentlemen.
Okay.
TV
cool.
series. And there's a spooky Halloween themed story just come out, Mrs. Amworth by E.F. Benson on From the Great Library of Dreams.
Lovely, 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 lovely. And Elton, what's happening over at Rogue 2?
Nothing new at the moment. There's a bit of a break on the cars going round in circles at the moment, but me and Andy have been recording People Go to War. So, yeah, that'll be out soon-ish. I'll let you know when that is.
And Elton's next podcast, Great Roundabouts of the British Isles, will be out next week. Right, yo. Well, it just leaves us for the phrase that pays. Didn't we have one? Was it Control Alt Delete Elton? I can't remember.
Control Alt Delete, I think you'll find.
Yes, Control Alt Delete. Control Alt Delete. There you go. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. The phrase that pays is Control Alt Delete. Right, and we'll leave that there. Darren, I don't suppose you're turning up on anything apart from radar? No?
Nope, not at all.
Okay, well, neither am I, so we're all together. Cool. So don't forget that we will be having the Ask for Trouble thread going up on Facebook shortly. Do put questions up there. I don't know why we've done that, but yes, do put questions up there, and we will get to them.
Seemed a good idea 3 hours ago, didn't it?
It did. It genuinely did. Now, not so much. But we'll see. So yes, asking for trouble thread. Come and throw us a question or two. See what happens. Anyway, that's it. So until we come back in a fortnight's time, thank you very much for listening. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Darren. Thank you, Elton.
No problem.
My pleasure.
Again, thank you everyone for listening. And until then, we'll see you next time. Take care. Tatty bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Ta-da.
Fuck that!
There's a voice that keeps on calling me. Down the road, it's where I'll always be. Every stop I make a new friend. Can't stay for long, just turn around and I'm gone again. Maybe tomorrow I'll wanna settle down. Until tomorrow, I'll just keep moving on.
Get out of the booth, Jack.
No, I like it in here.